Welcome, ELO lovers, crazy doctor stalkers, alien inhabitants of the planet Clum, and is that Moaning Myrtle? This is episode 315 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 31st of July, 2019, and featuring Love and Monsters, written by Russell T. Davies, and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Billy Piper.
Featuring.
Ah,
It's
good point.
they're kind of
Good
light
point.
on this episode.
And Doctor Lighting and Companion Lighting, David Tennant as the Doctor and Billy Piper as Rose Tyler. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and next time you hear from me, I'll have taken my GRE and I'll know my chances of actually getting into a good school. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Good evening.
Mad Matt Winchell,
I suddenly have the case of the Scooby-Doos.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan,
Hi there.
and Thomas Fireheart.
Not enough clip jokes, unsubscribed.
I think Australia needs to take all of the heat back. We're done with it up here.
We're about done with it over here for the moment. I mean, we're sitting here.
I don't
in
know.
the-
Our weather is bipolar. We're getting almost 80 degrees during the day, and we're getting almost 50s at night. It's weird.
No, I'm liking that, by the way.
Yeah, I don't mind that, especially during the night. But
Yeah, I don't mind the
I-
days either. It's wonderful driving weather, low humidity,
I mean,
70s.
I suppose
Oh,
as
yeah.
long as you're moving fast enough to get a good breeze.
in theory, it's only 70 for me this minute, but unless you're somewhere where there's a natural breeze, you don't actually get the benefits of it.
Oh yeah, you're still in the heat wave. It's only broken the last couple of days here.
Which is funny because the Weather Channel was claiming that Connecticut was past the heat wave last week. We had 2 days. We went 2 days below 85.
Well, you're past the ultra heat wave, the 100+ weather of doom.
Yeah.
The one where I'm driving, it's like, I'm smelling melted asphalt. Fuck, the road's melting.
Why are my tires on fire?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say the cold in Australia is fairly inconsistent because where I am, it should probably not be as cold as it is even during winter. But people in the southern part of the state I'm in have been saying lately that it is actually warm enough that they can just go around in summer clothes. So I'm like, okay, that's a weird. Just normally it would be they would at least be cool, and I would be the one dying of
Well,
heat exhaustion.
I don't think you guys have room to complain because you guys never see snow. When you see snow, then you can complain it's cold.
Depending on where.
Snow only
You
happens
are,
when
they
it's
can
warm.
be.
What do you mean? When
Snow-
when it's actually
still
cold,
happens
it's
in
either sleet
mountains,
or no
Matt.
precipitation.
Snow still happens in mountains, Matt. Trust me. There's snow in Southern California. You just have to go up the hill, up the mountain range.
I'm talking about him being in Australia, dude.
Yeah, I know. There's freaking hills at least out there.
I'm sorry. Every time
Yeah, there are places where
every
it'll
time I
be
see
fine.
footage of snow and/or ice melting, it's like July in Wisconsin.
A little bit late there, Matt. Because no, these days we go
Tell that to Joel Hodgson.
winter, summer, winter. Yeah, I mean, there's no.
Oh, no,
spring and fall.
Randy, you got that wrong. It's not summer. It's road construction, winter.
Yeah. I told you how insane the road construction is.
It's still
Let me
nuts,
tell-
I'm sure. Yeah.
Let me tell you how insane the people that are doing the road construction are. I'm going to pick up Aaron last night from work. 3 times I had to swerve and avoid a road construction guy who just backed up into the non-closed lane without looking.
Oh my God! Someone's asking for an accident.
Oh yeah. I'm like, Jesus, okay, Aaron, no, I know you were supposed to drive tonight, but we're not, because we're not going home on the Beltline. Fuck that shit. We're going around the lake.
Fuck that shit. We're going around.
Yeah.
Get that out of here.
Because that's just asking for me to hit somebody. And you know,
It takes one moment where you're not fast enough to react.
and suddenly you're in jail for manslaughter. Yeah.
Even though it's the other asshole's fault.
Yep. So, yep, don't want to go to jail. Pretty sure I'd be left alone in jail, but, still don't want to go there. Because they usually don't mess with the big guys.
King in the chat, the guy who looks like Gordon Ramsay. He's talking about the guy in the title card. Kinda looks like Gordon Ramsay, kinda.
All right, so let's move on. Because I don't think we got much else to say about.
Traffic or otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. So on tonight is birthdays and a tiny little bit of news that I could dredge up out of the internet.
Very tiny, very small.
Anybody have any geek talk today?
Yeah,
Nope.
I added some. I saw.
Oh.
I finally got around to seeing Toy Story 4, so I can talk about that.
Okay. So we've got one piece of geek talk. Nobody's seen anything that they're back on. They're backlogged on, huh?
No, we're still trying to fight that uphill fight to get Fred free enough to see Spider-Man. Every time he
Okay.
thinks he has an option, something else just pops up and gets in the way.
Nah, I was mostly aiming that at Bill.
Gotcha.
But it
No.
sounds like
This is what he's doing for series, yeah.
yeah, he's busy at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Testing.
So that'll take us to our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's start off with birthdays. And we've got 3 of them. A couple of them are semi-honorary. The first of which is Eve Miles, who played Gwen Cooper on Torchwood, turned 41 on the 26th. On the same day is the birthday of Nana Visitor, who played Olivia Colasanto in Torchwood Miracle Day, but is better known as playing Kira Nerys from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, turned 62. And on the 29th of July, we had David Warner, who played Professor Grishenko in Cold War, but is better known as Ra's al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series, and Big Finish's Unbound Doctor. He turned 78. Also the Doctor in the Bernice Summerfield Big Finishes.
Yeah, it's the same. It's when she's in the Unbound universe.
Yep. And that's the birthday. So happy birthday to Eve, Nana, and David. Well, there is no season 12 or series 12 news. It's dead as a post.
Chibnall, give us something.
Literally, I looked at the news last night and went, oh my God, there's absolutely nothing. Fortunately, 2 pieces of news came through today. One was from the world of merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who the Flamethrower.
Okay, Character Options, the company that makes all the official Doctor Who merchandise, has announced an exclusive line for B&M stores in the UK. It includes the 7th Doctor figure set, includes the 7th Doctor, 80s Cyberman, and 80s Cyber Leader. The 2 Doctors collector figure set includes Perry, the 2nd Doctor, and the Sontaran Shrike. The Sontarans figure set, Field Major Steyer, Commander Lynx and Harry Sullivan, 5th Doctor and TARDIS from Caves of Androzani.
There's no description on these because it's exactly what's on the tin. You get the 5th Doctor figure and the Caves of Androzani era TARDIS exterior.
4th Doctor and TARDIS from Shada.
Same.
And from Big Finish. 8th Doctor and Dalek Interrogator Prime action figure set. The War Doctor and Dalek Scientist action figure set. The 7th Doctor and Axis Strike Dalek action figure set. And all these sets are due out at B&M stores at the end of next month.
So, end of August. No news on whether these will get any kind of limited release in the US. At the moment, they're exclusively at the B&M stores. And that takes us down to Big Finish news, where I actually had to pull this from DoctorWhoNews.net, because apparently Big Finish isn't updating their news page.
Oh, man. A Big Finish. Just out from Big Finish today is the latest short trip, Battle Scars, read by Nicholas Briggs. In it, the 9th Doctor takes a trip on the Titanic. and I'm guessing that's the actual Titanic, not.
I think it's the. If you remember, there's a scene in like
think it's
Rose,
in
the
Rose,
first episode,
yeah.
where Clive is mentioning the fact that he talked to some people on the basically the pier that the Titanic was on, and they canceled their tickets at the last minute. I think this might be that story put out in detail.
Ah.
So yeah, that's all I really know about it because there was just a bit of a blurb.
Doctor Who Short Trips Battle Scars is available now at just £2.99 on download only from Big Finish.
Yep, and that's our news.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. A whole week passes, and this is what comes out of the news mill.
And by the way, sorry for anyone watching this stream. Like, all of a sudden I had complications and I was racing to get things to work right again. For a reason, all of a sudden it stopped capturing the window.
Yeah, Matt has figured out, I think, his technical issue with the window, and that was the fact that apparently hardware acceleration just causes it not to see browsers.
The hardware acceleration on the browsers themselves caused them to not be seen by OBS, and I don't know
Oh.
why, but that's a thing.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But as long as he's getting it to work moderately well.
Yeah, like I said, I just had a starting hiccup with going back to the window. It's like, oh shit, I can't see any of the birthdays. Why is none of the imagery coming up? Okay.
All
Got
right,
working again right at the end of the toys.
So as we mentioned earlier, Thomas has seen Toy Story 4.
Yep. I must admit, I actually wanted to have seen this much earlier, but just the per usual thing for me lately is just lack of money, meaning I had to wait until now. And I went in to this with a very I wanted to go in with as tempered expectations as I could, because you never know. I mean, Pixar will always try to put the most effort into the Toy Story movies, or at least these ones like this. I mean, they definitely don't do that with Cars, but anyway. And while I wouldn't say that this is better than at least 3, I'm also not disappointed by that. It didn't feel like they were trying to just keep one-upping themselves. It seems kind of, in its own way, both a continuation, but also kind of like a reset button in a way. Which is kind of the good thing about how Toy Story 3 ended. Is that it left it open to, okay, start over, new kid, all this, we can just go from there. Of course, the one interesting thing to me about this, and I know, this isn't all that surprising that they're not really at the house all that much, but this is pretty much a road movie in a way. I mean, the idea is that they've driven somewhere with all the toys in the RV or whatever they're using, and all the action and that happens where they end up. And it was honestly they make very good use of it, and it's it's interesting with the whole, which it's not even really a spoiler that Bo Peep's in this because she's on the posters, she's in the trailer and that.
Mm-hmm.
But I must admit, the one weird aspect of her being in this was just the fact that it's clearly someone else. I guess in the intervening time, either the previous actress might have died, because that has happened before with Pixar. Or I don't know, maybe they just couldn't talk her into coming back if she is still alive. I'm not entirely sure. I meant to look it up, but I forgot. So hearing a new voice having marathoned the Toy Story movies leading into seeing Toy Story 4 made it kind of jarring, but otherwise the actress that they got does a good job. Let's see. God, it's hard to think of what I can say without giving without giving much away. But the
I can tell
actors
you
are
one
all
I can tell you one amusing thing I've heard about this movie.
Mm.
Canadian biker stunt guy, Keanu Reeves.
Yes, Keanu Reeves. I totally forgot that he was in that because I remember like there being a thing where someone was like pointing out all the things that Keanu was in this year. Or is going to be in, because I think we're getting. Oh no, that's next year. I was thinking Bill and Ted, but I'm like, no wait, that's not this year.
No,
That's
not
next year.
not this year. They're working on it.
Yeah. Or it might have just been like it was a collage of things that he was announced to be in finally, and like it was Toy Story 4, Cyberpunk 20, like Cyberpunk game, fucking uh John Wick 3, and then like other stuff. So it's kind of funny having seen John Wick 3 and then him being in this, where honestly if I had not paid attention to the credits, I would not have realized that it was him.
Yes, apparently he's got a solid Canadian accent.
mm, um so yeah, that was kind of funny to realize watching the credits. Oh wow, yeah, that's right. Keanu was supposed to do a voice in this. Yeah, all the returning voice cast is good. Um, in a way, I kind of like that there's a like it's very clear that there's specific emphasis on very specific, which again, you know, it's Toy Story. Kind of goes without saying. But I guess compared to Toy Story 3, there's less emphasis on certain characters, and it's mainly following very specific characters. And when you get to the end of the movie, you understand why. And I would say that this is, while not as an emotional climax as Toy Story 3 was, I mean, hell, I rewatched it the other day and I broke down and cried. Like, it was just, it still gets me.
It's hard not to have a freak out moment of 3 apparently because they're accepting the fact that they might die.
Well, I just even mean like the when Andy's giving the toys away
Well, that
to
too.
Bonnie. Like that just gets me every time. But yeah, like this is kind of like that, but for different reasons. And it was also a thing that I'm like, oh my god, they're actually doing this. They're actually letting this happen, because I'm almost kind of cheering for it to happen. And it's not any like morbid thing, but again, I can't really hint at what it is because otherwise it'll probably give it away. But yeah, still, it's just like, wow, they're actually letting this happen. And it's like, it makes sense. And it's like, okay, I'm actually interested in, you know, when I'm pushing 40 and they finally bring out Toy Story 5, if the trend continues, considering the last one
If
came
this
out
Toy
in
Story train goes
2010.
on, I'm not disinterested in 5.
Yeah, like it's good. Like, you know, some people will like harp on um Disney and Pixar continuing the Toy Story franchise, but as far as I'm concerned, given that they continually put all the effort they can into these, I don't mind. And hell, like the shortest gap between movies was Toy Story 1 and 2, which was like a 4-year gap, because those both came out in the 90s. And then the third one didn't come out until 2010. So it's almost been a full decade since then. And we get this one. So it's likely to be another like 9 or 10 years before we get the next one.
I would assume at least a good
Um,
3 to 5, if not a little bit longer.
Or they change studio heads and they just start pumping one out every year.
Well, that's actually the funny
Cringe.
thing. Is like we were actually going to get Toy Story 3 several years earlier than that, because Disney had the option to just go, okay, fuck you, we'll make Toy Story 3 with someone else. But
I'm wondering if they
it
tried it
felt-
and then realized no one had good ideas
yeah,
and went,
they
oh,
tried it.
never
Yeah,
mind. We'll
they
wait.
tried it. They tried it. It got absolutely nowhere. And then the head of Pixar became the head of Disney Animation, so that got put on hold. So basically,
Oh,
Pixar
you're
has
still
Disney
looking for
by
a
the
Toy
balls
Story
when it
3
comes-
without us,
yeah.
huh? Denied.
As of this moment, Pixar is not planning on making another sequel.
They say that, but give them about again, they're like
Yeah,
3 to 5
yeah.
years.
Like, I
But
mean, to
are
be
their
fair, they
accountants
never
planning
really.
one?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they never really plan on doing more. They're always just like they're
It's
content.
always when a good idea
mean,
hits them and they finally decided we can
yeah.
progress this.
I could just imagine, like, yeah, we're not doing another one. And then the accountant walks in. They're like, "You're doing another one." They're like, "No, we don't have any story ideas. You're doing another one."
Well,
Yeah.
the main problem is they have to keep retiring characters at this point because people keep dying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
the original
introduced.
cast are getting old enough
mean,
now that they might be
They,
passing
they
on us.
introduced a new generation according to this trailer, so they can just keep adding in.
That's very iffy, my dude.
I haven't
Yeah.
watched the movie, and I don't.
Oh,
I'll watch it eventually.
They
But I still
they
haven't watched
introduced
three.
like maybe 3 or
I'll-
4 new characters. That's about it.
I was talking about the
Yeah.
one main character that everybody has a toy of now.
Yeah, but like they lost Don Rickles, who plays Mr. Potato Head. They use
Mm.
archival recordings for him in this.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, that would definitely explain why he doesn't talk as much.
And yet he's
But
in it so much.
I could definitely see
Mm.
if they continued it just introducing new toys every movie though.
Oh my
Especially-
God!
Especially if they did
Keanu Reeves did a
knockoff.
voice in this?
We just covered this,
We were,
Randy.
yeah, they were talking
I'm
about
sorry,
that.
I was not entirely listening because I was reading the plot.
Wake up.
I see. I'm not the
We
only one
spent
who
like
does
5
this.
minutes on Keanu Reeves being in
I'm
this.
sorry. Like I said, I was reading the plot of the movie.
Ay,
'Cause
worst conversationalist.
I don't, it's just the fact that when you start reviewing a movie that I haven't seen and therefore I know nothing about what goes on, I try to, read the cliff notes, and I wasn't aware this was on the agenda until the opening. No, I didn't have the time to read it ahead of time.
Yes, Keanu Reeves is in this. He plays a Canadian Evil Knievel as an action figure.
Yeah.
Because I was just looking through.
And I've heard
Trying
from
to
other
figure out-
Canadians that they quite enjoyed him.
Mm.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares what they think up in Canada?
But yeah,
Canadian
again,
bacon really isn't bacon at all.
it's in a funny way. I will say that, like with Toy Story 3, this is almost kind of Pixar being like, okay, we'll make a good movie, but fuck you, we're also going to end it in a way that this could probably end the franchise, but we don't. So fuck you.
But we're not going to say
Because you could
otherwise
argue-
because for all we know, 5 years later we'll come up with something else anyway.
Yeah, like but again, yeah, with people from Pixar being in higher positions in Disney now, it's pretty much like, okay, the pressure's off, we can go at our own pace. Unless it's shit like Cars, where they cranked out 3 movies relatively quickly.
Well, that's because apparently
comparison.
Cars was a franchise made of love, although I highly question that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the first one was, but
The
like,
first one
and I
maybe
get
was,
that
but
impression
the
from
other ones were
that,
just
but, like,
really shoehorned.
yeah, the other 2 were, damn, we're selling a hell of a lot of car merchandise. Let's make more movies. At least what it
And they
comes
were
off to me
absolutely miserable.
as.
And absolutely no one remembers planes.
God.
God, that is
Was-
a thing, isn't
They
it?
made 3 of those.
I remember planes. I just try not to.
Was that
Yeah.
a DreamWorks knockoff?
No,
No,
it
that was
Disney.
Disney.
That was
Oh,
that was Disney
See,
Pixar.
I paid it no mind because I assumed it was one of
No,
those
dude.
like, DreamWorks versions of
No,
Disney.
no,
No.
the freaking movie poster said in the Cars universe.
Yeah. And it's not even, the funny thing is, it's technically not Pixar, it's just straight up Disney Animation doing those.
It's
And the
like-
and apparently they were all supposed to be direct to DVD, but then they figured, screw it, let's just release them cinematically anyway.
Even
it's like,
though this looks to be
why?
highly mediocre. Oh dear.
I think they released maybe 2 of them cinematically, and then were like, okay, screw it, no one cares, and released the last one on DVD or something like that. If it ever came out. But yeah, generally, like, if you're a fan of Toy Story and you are the right age demographic, which is around my age, which is late 20s, because let's face it, the kids that were there when I was there didn't really give a shit about all the emotional attachment to these characters. I mean, I would say you could take kids to see it, but like I saw it on my own, and it didn't
Well, it
feel
would
weird
probably help if
because
the
I
kids
feel
actually
like,
saw any movies beforehand. So,
mm,
just saying.
yeah, but yeah, I would definitely say give this a shot, and if you can't afford to see it in the cinemas, then yeah, just wait until it comes out on. God, at this rate, it probably won't be out until Disney Plus is a thing, but still.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wait, okay. You said that they replaced the voice of Bo Peep, right?
From
No,
what I can tell.
no, they didn't.
Oh.
Because it's the voice of Bo Peep for all the movies. Toy Story 2 wasn't featured in Toy Story 3, but Toy Story 4 is Annie Potts, aka Janine Melnitz from Ghostbusters.
That is so bizarre because I can tell you she does not sound anything like she does in the first 2 movies.
Well,
It is kind of amazing.
Well, dude, it's been like 10, 15 years.
Yeah, okay.
True, but yeah, it's just like in hindsight, I'm like, I'd honestly have to watch it again to see if I could pick it up this time. That it's just same actress but older voice.
It's quite possible because
Mhm.
we're talking 1995, 1999, and 2019. I don't know if I'd recognize her as Janine Melnitz anymore
I've seen her. You can.
because I haven't. Well, no, I mean vocally,
Oh,
because I
vocally?
have
Depends.
because I haven't. She hasn't played Janine since 1989.
Actually, she did the Janine accent in 2016, so you can tell.
What'd she do in 2016 with it?
The Ghostbusters movie.
Oh.
She didn't
Well,
play
she was in
Janine,
it.
but she played the hostess
Yeah.
of a hotel where she did the exact same character voice.
I'm going to have to now watch that fucking movie again, even though I hate it,
Yeah.
just to see if I can catch that.
It's like the last half of the movie somewhere. She's the head of the hotel where the bad guy is
I'm
based.
sure it's like free on Netflix or something because it's not worth renting.
I would hope so. But yeah, I remember.
Potts
I
as
remember in that.
Vanessa
That's
of
probably one of the
Mel's
few good things about that movie.
I guess I will say the fact that she's playing Bo Peep, she never really sounded like Janine anyway, because the idea is that
she was
she's
playing a
got
different
more of
character.
a
She wasn't putting on an accent.
yeah. She's trying to fit in. She's trying to fit in more with the sort of Wild Westy kind of thing that Woody has going. So she's got more of an accent like that rather than the Janine voice.
Anyways, anything else about Toy Story?
Not that I can think of. No, just yeah. Like if you're interested enough, go see it. I would say it is worth seeing in the cinemas if you do get the chance. But if not, I would still recommend you see it when it comes out on streaming or rental or download, whatever.
Probably the Bo Peep voice is closer to her original voice as she's from Nashville.
Ah.
In a way, that would definitely explain why it sounds different between movies if she's just using a natural voice.
Quite be. She grew up apparently in Franklin, Kentucky. So it could be that she just she did try to put on like, a more of a Tennessee or Texan accent and then forgot to do it for Toy Story 4.
Maybe. Or forgot which version of the accent she did. Either way. Anyway.
Not like we don't have plenty of time tonight.
So if we're done with Toy Story 4, I guess the next thing is the review or the
episode summary.
Episode summary, rather. Yeah.
And guess who's the poor schmuck that gets to review this? Yep, that's you, Thomas.
Well, it kind of makes sense since I'll be gone for like a
That's
decent while you guys are doing.
we figured as much.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
made sure you were
yeah.
in here for these two. It was a toss up
Mm.
between me and you, and I gave you the shit job.
uh, let's see. Okay.
Haha, the boss just poked the straw. All right, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, we open on what turns out to be a flashback of a man named Elton running into the doctor dealing with an alien and him and Rose doing a Scooby-Doo gag where they run through a bunch of doors. Elton then tells us through the framing device of what's basically a vlog how he actually remembers the events of Series 1 and eventually met characters who also remember them when we're trying to figure out what the Doctor was all about. The group meetings turn into more of a hangout where they just have fun until someone calling himself Victor Kennedy shows up. Victor takes control of the group and gets them to try and actually find the Doctor, with Elton managing to, only to freeze up and run off. Victor ends up getting the group to try and find Rose instead after that failure, with Elton getting lucky and managing to run into Jackie, managing to fumble his way into getting into her flat. After helping her out for a while and an awkward attempt at seducing him by Jackie falls through, when Jackie realizes she's just taking advantage of him, she eventually realizes the truth of why he kept coming over and tells him to bugger off. Elton refuses to go any further with all this, and with the group activities not being fun anymore, and leaves with Ursula, only for the two of them to come back as Ursula left her phone behind. Over time throughout the episode, people had been randomly disappearing from the group, and finally Ursula and Elton realize why. It turns out Victor Kennedy is an alien that Elton refers to as the Absorbaloff, having absorbed Bridget, Mr. Skinner, and Bliss. After attempting to confront him, Ursula ends up being absorbed as well, and Elton runs off at the urging of the people that had been absorbed. Elton is eventually cornered, only for the Doctor to show up, and we learn that the Absorbaloff comes from the twin planet of where the Slithines are from. In a last-ditch effort to help Elton, all the absorbed people somehow manage to pacify the Absorbaloff from within, long enough for Elton to get hold of and break his staff, which essentially kills him. The Doctor explains why Elton had seen him as a kid, and then decides that it's a good idea to not just let Ursula die, and instead contain what remains of her in a cement tile, with Elton and Ursula being reunited, and her somehow still having glasses, and the episode ends with Elton deciding to wax philosophical about the whole situation. The end.
Wow, that was pretty short. You got that in 2 minutes and about 45 seconds. Oh, I almost had a mosquito.
All right. Let's go for our likes and dislikes. And Tim, you are first.
Okay, so what I liked in general about this episode, I thought just the group Belinda itself was an interesting concept, and it had some likable characters in it. That especially the tepid romance between Mr. Collins and Bridget, I believe her name.
Mm-hmm.
So, as well as I I love the arc of this group that what do you is like how it goes from like people who are into the Doctor who just people to who just like hanging out together, and
Yeah.
like it's like they find they were they were drawn together by something, but they found further purpose in just making connections with each other. I think that's a good
Mm.
thing. To it's sweet.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Bill, or excuse me, Matt. Sorry, almost missed Matt.
Mhm.
Just a second here. Dang it. Sorry. Um, I'm gonna go with an obvious overall favorite thing. I like the music in this one.
Of course you did. I figured you would go for that.
Swinging for the door is real hard for that one. For those of you who don't know, they play a lot of ELL music in this.
Yep. I could have put money on that being your choice.
By the way, speaking of which, ELO has been back for a couple years, and I've actually heard some of their more recent album. Good stuff.
oh. So is Jeff Lynne your favorite traveling Wilbury?
I'm not sure what that last bit was, but sure.
Okay.
All right, Bill.
I liked the Jackie plot line. It seemed reasonable in this sort of situation, and it played out in a realistic way without, it kind of kept you in suspense as to how it was going to end.
Mm.
All right. Thomas.
I almost got all the way through without not having mine stolen, and then Bill had to take it. So, I guess I'll just say Elton, just because as cringy as some of the stuff that they get him to either say or do, comes off as, it's like it still works for what it is, of how like the actor's going for it. It's like, yeah, I could see someone, like I probably knew people like this who were just like the whole awkward
He's just a likable,
stuff, and like,
clumsy
yeah,
oaf.
yeah. And even like the bit where, he's like psyching himself up to have, essentially, because he thinks he's going to end up having to have sex with Jackie just to make this whole thing work, and he still ends up being a bit awkward about it. And even that, he, like, even he comes to realize, as much as Jackie has the moment of realizing, oh shit, I'm taking advantage of this guy, even he realizes, you know what, fuck all this, I'm just gonna try and cheer this woman up.
Yeah.
Um,
He's just like,
so,
you know what?
he's
We're
like,
just mates. I'm gonna go
yeah.
pizza. We're gonna be mates. We're gonna watch TV and crash for a while tonight. Be right back
Mm.
with food.
Okay, so we're at me, and I think what I'm going to say is I like some of Shirley Henderson's acting. Shirley Henderson is the one that plays Elton's girlfriend.
Mm.
Also played Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is seeing her in Harry Potter, she basically only has two personalities. She has depressed. Well, I guess there's a slightly happy moment and then basically angry. She kind of just goes back and forth.
She's
Mm.
got mopey, she's got happy, and then she's got I'm gonna smack you.
Yeah, she's got mopey, she's got the oh my god that's hilarious moment, and then she's basically angry or
Well,
offended.
Yeah.
she was flirty a few times.
Yeah.
Kinda, sorta.
Um.
I
But
will give her that she had more range in this than all the other things she's known for.
yeah, and you get to see her transition a little better
Mm-hmm.
than you do Myrtle, who is very bipolar.
Yeah.
Here you get to see a more natural emotional range from this actress, and you get to see why she actually gets cast in other stuff now.
Oh, she has been now?
She does quite a bit of stuff other than Moaning Myrtle. I'm trying to think, because she was on a series for a while. She was in Happy Valley. She's done quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, I know I've seen her in a movie with Frances McDormand, but I can't for the life of me remember what the movie's called. Like, Frances McDormand plays like a nanny or something like that that's out of work or something like that.
I couldn't tell you just looking at
Yeah.
her list. Not enough. She played
But yeah.
She played Oliver Hardy's wife in the
Oh wow,
docudrama.
I'm checking out her list real quick,
Oh.
and she's got like a handful of things just from the last couple of years. Holy cow!
Yeah, she's really
She's
she's
making the
really taken
rounds. Yeah.
she's been nominated a couple times for like BAFTAs
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Royal Television Society Awards, and she's Kath from Frozen. You know, the big Disney hit that all the kids were singing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and she got a BAFTA Scotland for that. Special mention at the International Women's Film Festival. Best actress at another international film festival. So yeah, that's one of the things that she got really big for. I don't think she ever got nominated for her role as Myrtle, or of course for her role on Doctor Who. But
But those
at
were
least,
those two in particular were like really early in her career of getting noticed anyway.
between Myrtle and Doctor Who, I think is probably where she got recognized.
Mm-hmm.
She had done
Yeah.
bit work before that, but she's gotten bigger work since then.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In fact, it was around that. I'm pretty sure it was the role as Myrtle that got her a cast in Frozen.
Oh. She apparently in there's a Stan and Ollie, Laurel
Yeah.
Laurel
I had
Hardy
just
thing.
mentioned that 5 minutes ago
Okay.
that she played Oliver Hardy's wife.
Okay. Yeah, I just noticed the credit now. It's like, oh.
Yeah, Stan and Ollie was kind of a biodrama of Laurel and Hardy,
Yeah.
and it's basically basically about the end of their careers.
It's a little bit about the beginning, but yeah, it also does highlight the end of their career.
There's kind of like a prologue in the beginning of their career, and then kind of like the way Avengers had, 45 minutes and then a 5-year time skip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is kind of
Basically.
along the same line. Yeah.
I would assume that they at least very quickly fast forward through the middle bits and then get to the end of it.
Maybe a montage. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Montage, and then you start to see them breaking down.
But anyway, yeah, she's done really good for herself, and I think it's really, down to her roles in Harry Potter and Doctor Who that kind of got her there.
Probably. That's what probably helped push her to get noticed at the very least.
All right, so let's talk about what we don't like about this serial. And Tim, you're first.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We're
Go
ready for the
ahead.
hate. We're ready for the hate.
There, you're not to name the
Alright.
elephant.
All right. The design of the Absorbaloff was just nah. No.
Also the fact that the design of the Absorbaloff was designed by a 7-year-old.
Mm.
Okay.
I will admit, I almost give it a slight pass just because it was designed by a kid, but yeah.
And actually, the kid's design was very different. Anyway.
Backstory for people that don't know. After the successful first season of Doctor Who, they ran a contest on the TV show Blue Peter, which has to be the most perverse name for a children's show I've ever heard. It sounds like some kind of disease,
Mm.
What happened, little Timmy? Well, I was playing with my Peter, and now it's blue.
Oh my.
Okay. But anyway, they had this thing, design a Doctor Who monster, and the winner would actually be in an episode. And part of this explains why this episode isn't good, because Russell T Davies had to write this episode, a good chunk of it, not knowing what the monster was going to be.
That's an issue.
So he wrote the Linda bits first. Them looking for the doctor, that kind of bit. And then once he got it through, had to rewrite and sandwich in the Absorbaloff. Which you could imagine him getting this and going, "This is the winning monster." I can't do it.
See, I could have. I thought if they would have waited for the plot and then find out what the monster was, I'm sure they could have planned it a lot better. Especially since the original
contest,
monster was supposed to be a giant monster that absorbs people.
which they did not have the budget for.
Yeah.
That's arguable,
That-
but they've done giant monsters
Well,
before, but they've been kind of touch and go.
The fact is,
Considering
though,
he
that
fought a giant monster in the previous story.
that might have been also why not. But the thing is that the problem
Spent
is
all
that the
costume
contest
and rubber
ended.
squid masks. I mean, all the
The
budget.
contest ended after the time that they had to have the scripts turned in,
Well,
or
that's
at least
just sloppy
partially.
planning and timing, is what that is.
Or not enough
Mm.
time, or without enough time for him to do a full thing. So he had to half write it, and then half undo it. And I think that might have been because of the run of Blue Peter got delayed or something. But
For crying out loud.
something happened that caused it to do this.
Mm.
And
And obviously it snafu'd everything from there.
yeah. But so, they had to take it and they had to run it through the designers. And, then he just had to write it fast. And that's kind of why this episode falls apart like that, is because, and this is why we've never seen another contest like that in Blue Peter.
Mhm.
They're just like, nope, we're not doing it again. Never, 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 ever, ever.
Yeah. I feel like the closest you'd get is like design a background monster or something.
Well, now it's like winner gets a stand-up Dalek prop or something.
You get to blow up Dalek, enjoy.
Because not a blow up Dalek, the actual like Dalek props, because they've got like 50 of those. Because I know that's also the reward for turning in a lost Doctor Who serial.
Mm.
Is they give you a Dalek prop. Yeah.
We need to start ripping down all the walls in this house and see if we can find something.
Start going to all the freaking second-hand stores across America. Unfortunately, Doctor Who didn't actually come across here well, but Thomas might be able to find something in Australia.
Yeah,
Probably-
Thomas has a better chance.
Probably be cut to hell, but
Right.
I don't
then
know.
again,
Stranger
they
things
might
have happened.
they might discover they have all those scenes that were on the cutting room floor in Australia and just not the original reels.
Mhm.
But yeah.
All right. So, Matt, what did you dislike about the serial? Or are we all just going to say the Absorbal off?
Well, I'm assuming there's a lot of stuff we could say that's technically tied to Zorbeloff. My particular thing is you took what could have been a creepy and decent monster, and the first thing you do is puerile humor, and I'm like, here we
Okay,
go
so
again.
that's casting. That's casting. Because they decided to have Peter Kay do the Absorbaloft, who is a famous English comedian.
Mhm.
Let's see if I can find his body of work that people might know. He was big on at least the Catherine Tate show,
Hmm.
Phoenix Nights. He actually had his own show called That Peter Kay Thing.
The thing is, though, I don't think it necessarily is just him. I think it's
The
also
writing.
Russell T's puerile humor.
Mhm.
That too. Remember, this is the first. This is series 2 of Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. And this is
Russell
the
had
second
the
time
first-
that they've done puerile humor like this, and it didn't work last time either.
He
That's
wrote him as Fat Bastard from Austin Powers.
Essentially.
pretty much. He comes across like Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, which is really weird since that's Mike Myers and not Peter Kay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I see him as that, and I hear him, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Fat Bastard. I ate a baby. Yeah.
You know, it would have been funnier if he said that.
Well, there you go. He played a cop in the Wallace and Gromit movie from 2005, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So
I need to see
I'd
those
probably know him
movies.
from that.
I need to see Wallace and Gromit.
Anyway,
Anyway,
So,
yeah, that's my basic thing. Next.
all right. Bill, how about you? What did you dislike?
I was definitely going to talk about the execution of the Absorbaloff, but since that's taken I don't know if I can really. I mean, I guess I can still talk about the pacing, even though we know part of the excuse for it. It's just, I don't know. It drags so much in the first half, and then it's so rushed in the second half, and
Bill,
yeah.
I would not say the first half drags. That's the part of the That's the part of the show I like.
Yeah,
But
that's the
it's
part
the
that's better.
It's the part where it's mainly like him narrating their lives, and like there's good things about it, but it still drags. Like things aren't really
There's maybe like one scene I would have
happening.
trimmed a little bit off of, but
But it could have been tied into like I said, this wasn't my first choice. My first choice was to talk about the execution and how that turned out, but we pretty much already fully covered that. But I will say if the first half was tied more into the whole mystery of it and everything else in a way that made it not seem like two different parts of a two-parter, it would have been better.
All right,
all right.
Thomas.
Yep, Thomas.
Pretty much the whole resolution.
Oh,
whole
yeah.
fucking things. Like, yay, the doctor shows up and then does absolutely nothing, and shit just kind of
It
resolves
just
itself,
hints to the
and
people
then
inside the Zorbaloff, maybe you should fight him. Oh yes, we can
Yeah.
fight him. What?
yeah.
Why did you not figure this out 5 minutes ago?
Because they needed a Time Lord brain to explain it.
Someone needs to be punched in his Time Lord brain.
Doctor? Why did they have to wait till now to fight him? I'll explain later. All right. Anything else, Thomas?
It's there's one thing, but I think that might end up counting as a scene, so I'll save it.
Yeah, if it's gonna be a scene, might as well keep it, and you can use it for a
Yeah.
scene.
All right.
And Nick picked the hell out of it.
Yeah, I really have nothing to say here because you've pretty much brought up all the key failures of this movie. The Absorbaloft, the brokenness of the writing. Yeah, you've kind of much covered it all. So I'm gonna pass.
Just
Though
a
mention
gambit
the
of
fact that
issues when it comes to that
the-
last act.
yeah. Favorite scene, Tim.
Oh boy. Okay, what do you think is my favorite scene? I almost want to like give someone else the opportunity to claim this as as their favorite scene, and I think I will. So I'm gonna go with my second favorite scene, and that's the whole Elton going through the steps to ingratiate himself with Jackie, and I just think it's a brilliant joke about how he says the step and Jackie immediately does it for him.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Well, only because Jackie is apparently at this point just one, just a horny lady at this point.
Just a lady that's also really sick and
But
tired
to
of
be
the White
fair,
House.
that's how she was in her first scene too.
Yeah, she's
Mm.
So
coming
she
on
hasn't
heavily
changed
to the
much.
doctor who she just met 5 minutes ago.
Anything could happen.
So-
Nope.
Mm. Mm.
And it's just she sees somebody. It's like, okay, I've got to find a way to sleep with this person. I'm like, seriously? Don't you have the get to know you phase first? Whatever happened to dating? Get off my lawn.
Whatever happened to chivalry? Whatever happened to courting?
She doesn't want to be a stepmother. No dating.
All right. So, Matt, your favorite scene?
There's actually a couple of good ones. I'm going to go with yeah, I'm gonna go with the scene with the other alien because that other alien is far more interesting and far better made.
Looked vaguely like a weevil.
Yeah, he looked like a more
Mhm.
advanced version of a Weevil with elongated features and stuff. And I believe he
Yeah.
did make another appearance in Torchwood the next season, correct? The season
That
after
does
this?
sound familiar, yes, now that you bring that up. I do think that alien did show up in Torchwood.
Yeah, but this shows that the costume was way too good just to be used the one time.
Yeah, they're just
Mm.
like, okay, yeah, we need to reuse this because yeah,
It's just way too good. We
costs-
spent a lot of money on this on a low end
Mm.
budget episode.
Yep. I think though when it appeared in Torchwood, it actually like spoke English.
I don't think so. No, he spent most of his time screeching in a corner, and I believe Owen drugged him.
The Hoiks, I believe, is what that's called.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's in Exit Wounds. So it's not until the second season of Torchwood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so,
So
the
they
next season of
reused the
Torchwood.
costume. Yeah.
Oh, and
Actually, no,
oh,
no,
that's
not
right.
even, actually, first season hasn't happened yet, has it? So it'll be second season, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this season, even the mention of Torchwood in this episode was build up for the first
Yeah,
season
for the
happening.
first season, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for the
Mm.
season finale.
So second season doesn't happen till after third season. So they kept it sitting there for over a year before reusing it.
And yet,
But
when
yeah,
they reused it, they reused it really well, so it's a darn good costume. It's a
they've
shame they
used
didn't
it.
use it more.
They used it twice since then. The first time was in Exit Wounds, where Owen has to distract it by feeding it cigarettes.
That's right, he was feeding it cigarettes. That's why he was giving it.
It also has appeared as a member of the Alliance to seal the 11th Doctor in the Pandorica Opens.
Oh, okay.
But mind you, they were just pulling all the monster costumes out.
That they had out that
Right.
were usable, yeah.
Mm.
But those are the only appearances that the Hoiks has had.
It could totally be used more often, to be honest.
If they still have the costume. Well, it's probably,
Well, they could still remake the costume, but they do more of that creature because that creature could do a lot more than this episode. Please.
They probably have it like boxed up from the Doctor Who experience.
That's a possibility too. If they've been carting it around enough, it's probably gotten enough use that it hasn't completely burnt out yet as a suit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was probably a museum piece because the Doctor Who experience was, a museum
Mm-hmm.
of Doctor Who stuff. But remember, that went out of business in Cardiff.
Yeah, I don't know that they found a second place yet, have they?
No, but that means it's probably boxed up in storage.
Yeah, so it's been probably in storage now for about a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
So if you run into a Doctor Who monster, you can legitimately yell, "You belong in a museum."
You belong in the museum experience.
Oh, the reason it was also Dr. Light is the fact that the production was double banked. So filming for Impossible Planet, The Satan Pit, and Love and Monsters was going on at the same time.
So Tennant and Billy Piper were needed elsewhere for a lot.
Yeah, they did the intro and exit pieces for this, and then went on to do Impossible Planet, Satan Pit.
While the B crew probably continued to finish and wrap this one up.
Mm-hmm.
They needed the Doctor to stand in a room menacingly for a few scenes.
For a scene.
Yeah, a scene that was reused like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, according to an early draft, Elton would have been witness to more events in Doctor Who history. For example,
nice.
his third birthday party was evacuated because of the Dalek invasion of Shoreditch, i.e., remembrance of the Daleks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what killed his mother, his mother was going to be killed by a plastic daffodil.
Oh. Oh,
and he
shit.
also would have been one of those who saw the Loch Ness monster rising from the Thames.
Oh, there's so many good
wow.
references they could have had. That sucks that they completely gutted him. He would have been a much more interesting character than what he was. And he was already kind of decent.
I mean, at the same time, you probably would have had to sacrifice other stuff just to keep that montage going.
I wonder if they cut it for time or if they cut it for most Doctor Who fans watching in 2006 wouldn't get it.
I'm pretty sure they probably cut
Mm.
because they need to write around the Absorbaloff.
Well, yeah, and if they were going to cut it, they were going to cut classic references.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that
And
was
I-
an early draft, not a.
Yeah.
Not near
An ear-
final.
An early draft before the producer looked in and said, "Do you know how much it would cost for us to get a model Loch Ness monster for a half a second scene?"
No, they wouldn't have to because they would have. It would have basically just been inserting him into, scenes from classic.
Oh, and like making him like really
Mm.
grainy to look like
Mhm.
70s footage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, depending on how they planned it.
That actually be cheaper than rebuilding the Loch Ness monster model.
Actually, they could have CG'd the Loch Ness monster and would have been better looking than the original either way. But
Probably, yeah.
yeah, anyway.
But yeah, so I just thought I would mention that would have made it a little more cohesive. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
where were we?
I've just finished my favorite scene.
Bill.
Right. So this is my favorite scene,
Yes.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
this conversation kind of like threw my brain to the side. So I'm going to go with the fuck all that, fuck the order of attack. I decided that being a good person is the most important thing, and I'm going to get you a damn pizza.
Oh, before she discovers that he's
He's been
Yeah.
looking for Rose. Yeah.
Mm.
Right.
All right. Yeah, it's a good scene.
The
Thomas.
realization of the lie.
I'm going to cheat because Bill technically took part of mine, so I'm
Mhm.
going to say the bit immediately before that,
Oh, the bathroom scene.
where, well, not so much, but he specifically only mentioned the bit where Elton's like, fuck all that, I'm just gonna try being friends with you. I'm going to say the bit where Jackie realizes she's been trying to seduce him and it's like taking advantage of him and shit. And it's just, we actually get to learn a bit about, how all this shit affects her. And it's like she's just incredibly she's just like extremely lonely because she doesn't have anyone, and Rose isn't even there anymore, and Mickey's not around and at all and shit like that. So it's
Yeah,
just like,
because Mickey's in the alternate universe at this point.
Mhm.
yeah. So like I almost kind of have to think that when the actress who plays Jackie saw that, she was like, "Oh shit, yes, I've actually got something to do."
Holy
Right.
shit! Character development.
I'm gonna have to do some acting. Hold on, let me get my makeup.
All right. And my favorite, because I love scenes like this, is the episode after, or the scene after the Absorbaloff is beaten, and the doctor sits down and basically tells him why he remembers him in his memory.
Mm.
Where he's discovered that the doctor was there the day his mother died, and it's just an emotional scene for me, so I like it.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, that was still a good take,
Agreed.
but I still would prefer it to be more tied into Doctor Who past.
Oh, I
since
would have liked it too,
Mhm.
but it's still just the way they wrote that scene and the way it was filmed, just that
Mm-hmm.
emotional content. Because I always love those scenes like that.
Yeah.
All
And if it
right.
were tied into what they wanted, it would have had to been a John Pertwee lookalike standing there, looking ominous.
God damn it, Sean! Start playing your father.
Yes.
Stop doing it just for Halloween, dang it.
I would freaking love to see him just freaking, have them do a two doctors with like Jodie Whittaker and Sean Pertwee as John
Oh,
Pertwee.
that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Mm.
And definitely Kate Stewart.
Just have that moment, and it's just like
Kate Stewart just wanders down and says, "Oh,
Ha-
hello." Oh,
happens
hello.
during like the Doctor's last season, so that he arrives in the TARDIS, or between Joe and Sarah Jane, so that he's by himself,
Mm.
so that you don't have to deal with a companion, because Joe is, of course, far too old to play Joe. And, of course, Elizabeth Sladen has no longer with us.
Right.
Hmm.
So it'd be easier to do that point there, because that's the only
Yeah, the
point
point between companions.
where he has a working TARDIS and he
In
doesn't
the
have a
5
companion.
Doctors, does Pertwee have a companion?
No,
Technically, he picks up
Oh, it's the
Sarah Jane.
Brigadier.
he picks
Oh.
up Sarah
Oh,
Jane
yeah.
later on.
But that's post 4th Doctor Sarah Jane, so not a traveling companion.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's Sarah
And
Jane
he-
after
and
Fourth
he-
Doctor
he
because she
men-
has a
he
canine.
He mentions, though, that that's the weird thing about the 5 Doctors, is he mentions he knows who she is, but he hasn't met her yet.
Hmm.
All I can figure out is that the Doctor has the memory of meeting her as the 1st and 2nd Doctors.
Ah, I can see that.
That's a possibility too, I suppose. He just
Yeah,
knows
it's-
that she's
it's-
eventually going to be a companion and goes, "Oh, hello."
It's either that or you dip into the some sort of viewing his own future because of Time Lord.
And that's
Nonsense.
and that's a very slippery slope.
Yeah. And then you get to the 8th Doctor saying, "Oh, I can see that you will be famous."
Okay, so where were we again? Or were we at the beginning of least favorite scene?
I think Bill
No, that was Bill. So.
Bill just
No,
finished
Bill.
his favorite.
And I think, I
Okay.
think
Oh no, wait,
I
there's
think
Bill
Thomas
and me.
is,
So
yeah.
And Thomas,
Yeah,
okay.
and I had mentioned my favorite scene, which is why I knew that happened.
Okay.
Okay,
Because
so
remember,
yeah, we're on
mine
to
was meeting the Shadow. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Ah,
so we're
yes.
on to least
Okay.
favorite.
So yeah, no, we just started least favorite then.
Yeah.
Yep. Tim, your least favorite scene.
Okay, so this one moment in Doctor Who has bugged me for years. It is probably one of my least favorite scenes in the whole New Who era, because it exemplifies what I think is one of the main flaws of the new series. This line, "It's too late for complete something."
It's too late to completely bring them back, but we can at least partially reverse it.
Yes. Okay.
Quickly
This
get a
bugs me for-
spade.
This bugs me for 2 reasons, or not just 2 reasons, but several reasons. One, why is it too late? There's no reason for it to be too late except the writer said so,
Mm-hmm.
and the writer simply said so to set up
Another bad,
borderline
another bad joke.
tasteless
Mm.
joke. And 2, this seems to be a recurring problem with New Who, in that you've heard of the trope "new powers as the plot demands." Well, it seems that Doctor Who has the opposite
New
problem.
limitations as the plot demands.
New limitations of the plot demands.
That's because they're always worried that the sonic screwdriver is going to become OP.
Which it is, but
Technically it is and
It
always
is.
will be. It's just that they keep trying to fight it and it doesn't always work well.
I mean, Elton
There-
literally refers to it as a magic wand in there.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody
that's kind of how I see it.
It's like,
Because I've been reading a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction, I imagine what a Harry Potter Doctor Who crossover would look like, and how the magic people would, see the Doctor pulling out his sonic screwdriver and go, "Oh, he has his own wand,"
So this is his own wand. It looks a little more tentacle than a normal wand, but seems to be the same purpose.
it's like the only reason the Doctor cannot do this is to set up, and because it's an arbitrary limitation, this ending is not does not seem worth getting through the whole episode for. It's like they say happy endings have to be earned. Well, I would go a step farther and say any ending has to be earned. Even a bizarre ending has to be earned, and this setup did not pay for the price of this ending.
Nope.
And thank you for letting me have speak my piece on that. I've been
Okay.
holding this in for years.
You can get off the soapbox now.
Absolutely no problem.
Okay, Matt, your least favorite scene.
Oh gosh. Oh, the the cringe of the end of the chase from the Absorbaloff just never ends for me. From the weak push against the doors, it's like, why didn't you just try climbing it? To the just instantly kneeling down and giving in. To just, literally, if it was not for the doctor and then there's complications on top of that. But I'm gonna stick with mostly the chase part of that sequence. Just never. It feels like they're stretching for tension, and it extremely does not work, and it just comes off really weak and stupid.
Hmm.
Absolutely, just abhorrently hate it. Friday the 13th did so much better, numerous times. There are 80s movies that officially did that chase scene more tensely and more
Yeah,
efficiently.
well, the part of it is that it's supposed to be as he's running, he realizes he's got nothing left to live for. But
Eh,
yeah,
it's
how
still
they how
it still comes off extremely weak.
yeah, and the rescue, it's like if I was the Absorbaloft, I would have heard that TARDIS and just gone,
Yeah.
Right.
So the fact
Well,
that they just
we already know the Absorbaloff wasn't that smart. He needed a group of misfits who had given up on searching for the doctor to even find the doctor.
you'd think he would have gone out, found Jackie Tyler on his own,
Right.
and then basically have been waiting for the next time Rose came home.
Mm-hmm.
Which would have been a more depressing story because he probably would have eaten Jackie,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which the doctor might have actually considered to be a favor.
Oof.
Well, the doctor and Jackie have never gotten on too well.
I don't think he'd wish murder on her though.
No, but that might have been an off comment that he made and probably felt
Yeah.
bad about it later.
I mean, he wouldn't make it in front of in front of Rose, I don't think, considering how
Oh, I
she
don't
would
know.
have
It depends
reacted.
on if he went rude and not Ginger.
If for a story to have that happen, I think it would have to be Rose's finale.
Yeah.
That too.
But...
And he just couldn't let that character go. Russell T just couldn't let Rose go.
Yeah, that was kind of the problems of season 3 and 4 was Russell obsessing about
Mhm.
Rose, and thus having the Doctor obsess about Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've got that. We've got Matt.
That was me, so that would be
Oh,
Bill.
Yep.
You already know what I'm about to say.
Go
for
ahead.
it.
I've mentioned it several times over the years. But following off of Tim's scene, that whole goddamn line. So everything's fine, kind of going along all right. It's kind of sweet, She saved her. It's not perpetual. And then they have to put the image of her head. Oh, and we've got a bit of a love life.
It is the
Mhm.
worst joke.
Yeah.
In a show targeted primarily at children, being a family show. It's not entirely at children.
On not only that, but on a show that's basically made by a monster created by a 9-year-old.
Right, and where I think there were I'm pretty sure they cut down the violence specifically because they knew that every member of Blue Peter's audience was going to be watching.
And then they add a fucking sex joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rather a revolting one considering, everything that's going on.
Right, especially considering the complete lack of bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just fucking hell. That whole thing, I remember, the first time I finally watched this, I was like, okay, so hang on. 1, how can she even talk? 2, how would that even work? Why the fuck does she still need glasses when she's stuck in a fucking tile? I just don't...
Because the glasses are technically stuck in the tile too.
Yeah.
Now imagine if
of
those
her
things
skin.
break.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
wouldn't
want to
think-
know why they were in the Absorbaloff.
Yeah, why would the Absorbaloff absorb, clothes and accessories?
Because the audience
Leave
wouldn't
no
recognize
trace.
the characters without the glasses.
Mine works better than just leaving no trace, but okay.
Mm. Oh.
Like, I would love a paraplegic person to weigh in on this and see if they actually disagree with me. Then fair be it. But I just feel the way that was presented was the squeakiest, most like
It was.
borderline
It was.
Yeah,
I remember when we watched this episode at Anime Club, and everybody
That
was
was a
just
lot
like,
of oof.
"Ugh!" Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the funny thing is it's like this is definitely a thing of I hope this wasn't what we've heard before where certain endings were changed because Moffat got in Russell T's ear and was like, no, we can't have people die. And like if this was actually just RTD thinking, nah, we'll save her, but in this very like, oh god, she's just an immortal friggin' glory hole forever. It's like, what the fuck? What kind of existence is that? Fuck
Right.
that. And like, I made the joke in the text chat like the other day where I was just like, wouldn't it be weird for the like retroactively add this into Trial of the Time Lord, and that's something they use against it?
It's totally something they could, to be honest. That's not much of
like
an
you
existence she was left with.
Yeah, you're like you rather than letting this woman die, you imprison her in this fucking tile to be a blowjob machine for the rest of existence. Like what the fuck?
What is the
Yeah.
worst fate?
Well, yeah, what's the worst fate to have died because you got nabbed by an alien monster or to be forever stuck with your head sticking through a tile?
Mm.
Ugh.
All right. So Thomas, your least favorite scene?
Yeah. That was mine, but thankfully I do have a backup.
Hmm.
And that is just because it's so like what the fuck are you because so Ursula gets absorbed and then she's like, oh wait, now that I've been absorbed I can read his mind. Elton, you are next. And I'm thinking, yeah, no shit,
shit!
You
Sherlock.
don't need
No
to be a
shit,
mind
Sherlock.
reader.
It's
And
like,
also the part of that is so she's the only one who gave a damn enough to even bother with the warning then.
Yeah. What were the others doing?
yeah.
The
And
others
apparently
only joined
Elton
in
had
after
to
she
be
started
told
joining
this.
in.
I mean, I understand the one that was absorbed into his bottom. He's sitting down. They can't say
Right.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the others, why didn't when the others when they were absorbed go run now?
Speaking of which, you
Yeah.
realize that was basically another Ask Not scene in the same season.
Mm.
Ass not scene.
You remember the scene where they talked about where Cassandra's second flap of skin was from, and she said she
Oh,
was
yeah.
talking about her Ask Not. So then
Mm-hmm.
this one is the You Don't Want to Know. It's the same joke.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Another butt joke in the same.
Mhm.
Yeah. He went from fart jokes to butt jokes, and then I think by season 3 he'd kind of gotten the picture.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. We thought he would have gotten the picture before his 2 seasons, but okay.
No, well, it always, third season is kind of a rule that it takes 2 seasons for a production team to kind of get locked in. I mean, look at Star Trek. Look at the first 2 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation. They're the worst 2 seasons of the show.
So what you're saying is that Chibnall's third season as showrunner should be his best one?
I'm hoping.
We
I'm
can cross our
I'm
fingers.
hoping. What's probably going to happen is Chibnall's going to go too far this upcoming season. Whereas he went way past the push the envelope in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
This one's going to be almost a traditional swing back that it's going to feel like he's trying to pull off Russell T Davies.
Mm.
And then
Or
he's going to
Moffat.
realize, let's hope not Moffat. Let's
I would much prefer that he pulls a silly version of Russell T instead. Yes.
And then
Mm.
afterwards he realizes, wait a minute, and then kind of finds a balance between the two, and that's where it will become good again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Although I would
Let's-
argue that a swing towards more Russell T would not be a bad thing, but we'll see how hard.
There's going good enough and then going too far.
Yeah, if he
Yeah.
if he swings all the way to pig aliens and farts, then that's a little too much.
We went too far again.
Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it just takes a bit for a production team to get to find their proper footing. Like I said, if you take a look at Next Gen, it was really third season before it started getting good. If you take a look at Deep Space Nine, the first couple seasons of DS9 were mediocre, and then they brought in the whole Dominion plot, and things started rocking.
Whereas Moffat needed his fourth season to really find his footing.
Well, the problem is he would find his footing and then lose it.
Hmm.
Because remember, there was one really good episode in Series 7, and then he
Mhm.
lost the plot.
And he lost the contact and just spent the rest of the season searching the grass.
It quickly dropped to mediocre
Yeah.
and then absolute
trying
garbage.
to write all the specials and all the episodes himself.
Yeah, Moffat was only good when he had time to write what he needed.
Yeah.
Whenever he tried to write under pressure, it invariably wound up bad.
Mm. Which I guess the upside with how Chibnall might have more actual like time to learn and like refocus is the fact that he has specifically stated that he's not taking on any other projects while he's the showrunner for Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
going to
and
be hopefully one of the benefits.
that is what killed Russell and what killed Steven.
Mm.
Is Steven was trying to bounce between Doctor Who and Sherlock.
And what killed Russell is that he tried to do too many Doctor Who things all at once.
Yeah, he tried to do Doctor Who, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, all basically in a moving production cycle, but realized that he needed some of that time to focus on other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to rest.
Yes, sometimes you need to rest. You need to rest your creative self, and you need time to write. And
you need to focus on the main show, and you can at least try to hope that some of the guys you work with can at least handle the side shows.
As the producer / showrunner, you have to hire the writers, write the scripts that you're writing yourself, hire the directors, take a pass on the guest actors. Usually the director will be the one to directly hire those, but the producer can override the director in certain things. And then once the stuff is filmed, talk to the special effects guys, make sure they know what they're doing. And then do a final, review of the episode once the director has cut it and give it a yay or nay. So that's a lot of work to do over the course of the entire production of the show, from writing inception to that's a wrap. And the thing is that takes more than just the filming period. So he was literally running from the filming stages to the writer's room, to the mill to make sure they were getting shit right. And yeah, he burned himself out pretty damn quickly.
Yeah, he tried doing too much.
Mm-hmm. Whereas Steven, of course, would wrap production, and then head over to this other studio where they're doing Sherlock, and would start the whole process over again, and it would just, he wouldn't have time to do what he needed to do.
You got to the point where he started trying to pretty much cross over the two different projects, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, where the Sherlock started acting like the Doctor, and he had to add the Paternoster gang to give Doctor Who a Sherlock feel.
Mm-hmm. It's like, no, Steven, we see what you're doing there. Stop. These are not the same things.
All right, so where were we? We were on least favorite scene. Thomas?
We're up to you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is Thomas? Okay, so yeah, that would be you.
Yeah.
Okay, so my part is where Ursula is wielding the stick at the Absorbaloff, and he's just like, oh, why? Because I'm such a slow creature. I'm like, and you're buying this?
Yeah, that's another moment of, really? Can you not tell an obvious lie?
Yeah, and like even if she's not, it's like, why the hell are you that close?
You
Mhm.
do realize there's a reason why he didn't want to touch people because he didn't want to absorb them right in front of everybody else, right?
Mm.
Yeah, this
You might
creature
want
has
to step back.
just at least probably killed your friends. It's an alien creature, and you can actually see faces on it. Yeah, I wouldn't be going anywhere near it.
Mm.
I'd be on the other fucking end of the room going, okay, we'll see you. Not.
Hmm.
I mean, seriously, Myrtle, you're supposed to be a Ravenclaw. Why the fuck did you pull a Gryffindor? All right, so yeah, so now our final thoughts. Tim.
Final thoughts. There are flashes of goodness in this episode. The characters of Linda, the parts when Elton gets all philosophical near the end, I thought in a better episode that could actually have been the best part of that episode. But here it just gets bogged down by the weak writing, so it acts as a point against it. Like I said, this is a somewhat amusing episode that leads up to a very disappointing finale. And I believe it's a story that's best left to the bin, so to speak.
Wow.
You watch it and then you move on with your life.
Well, even the Mr. I like it doesn't like it. Okay, Matt.
Uh, there's good parts to this, but it's overwhelmingly overshadowed by how obnoxiously bad the later parts get. Um, they basically ruin any kind of setup that they originally had for this episode. The monster needed more time to gestate and become a real monster. The humor was puerile and stupid at the same time when it at least came to the monster itself and other things attached to him thereafter. And you basically ruined any good momentum you started at the very beginning and just did nothing. You've basically wasted it and made an episode that's not even worth remembering, unlike Blink the next season. Um, you've tried to pad it out with better music. Thank you for that, but that still doesn't make for a good episode. Also, not to mention, you murdered I want to say, what was that? 3 decently made and well written characters. Fantastic, thanks.
All right. Anything
Uh,
else,
so
Matt?
That about summarizes it.
that's
Okay,
me.
Bill.
So it seems to me that RTD had a draft of a decent episode. Then they gave him the monster to design. He decided, fuck it, balls to the wall. I don't know if he had already cast Peter Kay at this point, but
No, you did Peter Kay.
no.
Peter Kay had been thought to play Elton, but
Okay.
thought that but playing a character like that was too close to his character in another series.
Okay.
Mm,
And so they later came back to him after
Mhm.
they had the absorbable
So-
off. And
The funny thing about it is I like his performance as the human douchebag.
yeah.
But the
Yeah.
actual the true alien underneath, it's just too ridiculous, and it just feels at that point like they gave up on telling a story and just went for the slapstick and whatever else comes with it. And at that point, the episode quickly plummets, like the most disappointing roller coaster ride ever. Um,
Mm.
and once that starts to happen, there's not much good to say about it. There's still a few funny lines, but uh, I think I don't know. It seemed like what happened before. It seemed like what he had before, knowing what the monster was much better written, and that the rest was kind of improvised or just shrugged off, and that's really about it. And that's pretty unfortunate.
now, in a hypothetical alternate universe, let's say that the whole Blue Peter thing didn't happen and this was actually written for season 3. Would you think it would have been more interesting writing wise if it turned out that Victor Kennedy was actually like the master?
Hmm.
Ooh, that one made for a much more interesting plot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The master
So
kind of secretly through this side group trying to find out if he can close in on the doctor
if
through
he
like
can
Martha and
locate the
stuff.
I
doctor,
would.
possibly after like stealing his TARDIS.
I would.
Stuff
I would.
with
Yeah, I was gonna say. I would hope he would be using Linda as like a distraction to hide the doctor from his real
Mm.
plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because even
Yeah.
I think they're a little below the master's ability to trust them actually as tools.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
But I
some of
definitely
his outbursts
more
would still
interesting.
basically fit as written, as
Mhm.
far as like you
It's
incompetent idiots sort
Mm-hmm.
of thing.
it's really everything that happens from when he picks up the newspaper and is like, "Look at my body," and everything
Yeah.
after that frustrates
Yeah, because
me.
you get somebody that
Mhm.
has that evil feeling of the master until he's
Mhm.
revealed as the Absorbaloff, and then he turns into Fat Bastard. It's like, what the fuck?
Right. So
Yeah.
even if it was a darker version of the Absorbaloff that carried through with a similar personality to what he had, except his true motives are revealed, I think it would much improve the episode.
Mm-hmm. That could have
Mm.
easily fixed things too as well, but
Yeah,
either way,
Mhm.
They
meh.
never actually reveal what his plot is, other than
He
trying
wants to eat the doctor.
Yeah, he wants to eat the doctor. He wants to steal the
Yeah.
TARDIS. He wants all that unlimited power, etc., etc.
Mm.
He
I mean, well,
refers to the doctor as a repository of knowledge for him to drink.
Mm.
Not entirely unlike the plan in School Reunion, at least once they realize the doctor's there.
mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, you were saying, Bill, or were you done?
I was done.
Okay, Thomas?
Mm. Watching this episode was a weird experience just because I had always, and I've brought it up to the people on the podcast before, that I had always avoided watching this purely because of its reputation, and that getting covered on the podcast was the only reason I ended up watching it. And it is such a weird experience watching it because at first you are actually kind of taken off guard by, wow, this might not be as bad as its reputation is. Like, it's not necessarily anything amazing, but it's at least, oh, this is at least decent. And then it all goes downhill in the third act, and it's just like, oh god, why?
Here's
It's
a
so
joke that actually
funny.
works with this episode. You get to that last act and everything gets flushed down the toilet.
Pretty much. Um, it's so funny because this is one of those things where I would actually, as annoying as some stuff, like the thing at the end with the whole, oh fuck it, Ursula's alive, but yeah, now it's just a head in a concrete slab. It's just like, that entire thing. If you just got rid of her being, quote, saved, and like heavy air quotes, saved that way, and just let her die, and the doctor's just there as like a shoulder to cry on, and the dude moves, like, the dude mourns and moves on. That would have been, I feel that would have been more powerful
Hell, it would have been more
than
powerful
her
if the doctor just
surviving.
kind of promised, "Hey, I need to get going, but I'll be back.
You know,
We're going to keep an eye on you because obviously we fucked up the first time."
even if he saved her, but had her body and maybe just like her skin was gray or something,
Yeah.
but still being basically a person
Yeah.
Yeah.
rather than a slab of concrete.
Yeah. So it's like that way. It's like she's effectively dead as far as society may know because she probably doesn't want to go out in public with grey skin or something.
Well,
So
you
it's
could always
like
do makeup too,
she's
but
basic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she would still, with as grayskin, she'd still be able to live her life,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
But at this point, she's a fucking Harry Potter painting.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Also, it just occurred to me while we were talking about that Elton is probably now suspect number 1 in 3-4 disappearances.
Pretty much.
Unless, of course, the doctor
Oh.
put in a word somewhere to help keep him protected,
Uh-huh.
which is possible, but
Mhm.
not that they explain that either.
Yeah.
Jackie
Well,
gets
I
called in
mean,
to
there's
testify.
there's also Jackie going against him.
Yeah, that would.
Um,
You really just want to see the Metro just haul his ass out.
They're like, no, I
Even-
have a talking slab of granite.
Oh, this one's gonna go in the loony bin.
I would love to see Love and Monsters too if they continued that with Elton, where he's been chucked in the loony bin and suspected of killing the rest of Linda. That would be at least make the story interesting,
Mm.
and hopefully just a setup for an even better story.
Yeah. But like, yeah, just it's so weird because here I was just thinking, oh, this will just be bad, or this will just be horrible. But it's more annoying because there's potential.
There's potential,
Like,
and then you immediately in the last act find it's
yeah,
all squandered.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, and I would even argue that you could have not even had the Doctor show up at the end at all, and just have everything pretty much play out kind of as it does, just without the Doctor there. And, Ursula's gone, whatever, he's on his own.
Mm.
He mourns, and then he moves on.
Mhm.
Rabbit,
Or
do
something like
default
that.
dance
And,
in the chat.
Instead of the Doctor coming in at the last minute like the freaking cavalry.
Well, they came.
So,
They
like-
came. They came in to have a go at Elton, not to be the cavalry.
I know, but no,
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing them with the hand reaching to him, and then you just hear the TARDIS in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that saving the day cavalry moment.
I will say we
Which
we
then
would
gets
we would have lost
deconstructed.
that brief funny scene between Rose and Elton, but
Mm.
I'm about
Although
to
it
be
is
killed
funny
here, and
'cause-
you're coming here to lip off at me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that by the way, that would have been amusing as hell if it just come out and it's just like, you're a jerk, Elton. And they just turn around, go back in the TARDIS and take off. Like, what the fuck?
But yeah, like, I even just remember thinking as watching it that it's almost as if that Sailor Moon joke where it's like, my work here is done, but you didn't do anything. And the Doctor
Yep.
leaves.
I'm the greatest hero ever. Bye bye.
But yeah, it's really, apart from the blatantly always, it's just so annoying that this actually could have had potential to just be better than it is. Not necessarily great by any stretch of the imagination, but at least not considered one of the worst episodes in
It'd be
Doctor
above
Who history.
it'd be above average until you get to
Yeah.
the off, and then it just drops
Yeah.
like a rock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it would be like in the high like 4+, but
Yeah,
it'd be
unless
like a 3.
the
Yeah.
last act was
Right.
something really special,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, having seen it twice now, I would say people should watch it to form their own opinion on it. But like,
It's almost
If-
guaranteed
you
that the
know-
last act is going to disappoint you.
yeah, like just prepare for the third act, pretty much. But yeah, God, and I would have to go back and watch all of New Who again just to be able to say whether I do think it lives up to the reputation as the worst episode in New Who. But
No, there's
No,
one
no,
worse.
No,
it
no,
depends.
no.
There's-
There's at least one worse.
There's one tied with it and one worse.
I think we've rated it 2 worse. Well, we haven't rated this yet, so it's hard to say. But
We'll see about that.
I think there are a few that are
True, yeah.
worse.
We will
Mhm.
see once we go to the ratings.
Yes.
Thus said, are you done, Thomas?
Yeah.
All right.
Randy.
So my final thoughts is the fact that this episode probably started out as a decent, mediocre Russell T writing under the gun episode, which would have been
It would have been serviceable.
slightly above average. But then he had to deal with adding the Absorbal off at pretty much the last minute. And at that point, and the choice of Peter Kay who basically decided to just play it as basically fat bastard and chew up the scenery, just causes the episode to lose its luster any luster it had really quickly and become a toilet episode, which is a shame because the rest of the actors did a great job playing this.
Mm-hmm.
The early part of the writing was good. Not great, but good.
Yeah.
And everything up to that point had been decent. A little slow, but decent. And then it just dies. There's no way to salvage this with the Absorbaloff, and I think it's a case of I can give it a little bit of leeway because they had to deal with it. They were handed this by Blue Peter and said, "Here, use this."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if you've seen the original drawing of the Absorbaloff.
I think there's been peaks of it here. I will. Actually, no, I can't right now. But yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's on the Wikipedia page as far
yep,
as I
yep,
know.
yep. There it is. Just put it in our chat. So you imagine Russell T Davies getting this handed to him on his desk, and it's like, "This is going to be your monster." Well, fuck. So yeah, that is why this episode comes off a bit weird. So, but it might give it a little bit, but still, the fact that they chose the wrong actor for it, and the actor chose the wrong way to play it, is definitely going to be a downward spiral, and it's definitely hurting this episode. All right,
I
don't
just
think there's
imagine if Mark Gaddis was in that role instead. It just like popped into my head.
probably might have done it better.
Yeah,
Maybe slightly.
yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, let's take this to the ratings. Let's finally give this our tally. We've been waiting for this for a while. Tim,
Yes.
what is your rate? You are a generous person here on this. What do you give Love and Monsters?
2.5.
Ooh.
2.5. By the way, 2.5 will be the lowest rating he has given anything this season.
Possibly ever.
No, not ever. There
Ah.
are some lower. There's at least one lower.
Oof.
All right. So, Matt.
I'm gonna actually be slightly lower than Tim. I'm gonna give it a 2. The only reason it's above a 1 is because we have some nice music.
Bill.
I wanted to check, but I'm afraid I'm going to freeze up Discord and you won't hear me for 10 minutes if I do. What were my last few ratings?
All right. So this season, for doing the bad, you gave the Gunfighters a 1.5, Invasion of the Dinosaurs 2.0, Horns of Nyman 3.0, Warriors of the Deep 2.0, Delta and the Bannermen 2.0.
I was thinking about a 2.5, but comparing to those, I think I'm going for 2.0.
Okay. Another 2 from Bill. Thomas.
I would almost agree with Tim, but that fucking ending just pisses me off too much to that docks at half a point, so I'll just give it a 2.0 as well.
Starts off at like a 3.75, and then that
Whittle.
costume appears and it starts to just swing.
It's just you just watch the freaking needle in free fall.
Yep.
All right. So,
Get Tom Petty in here. I have a song for him to sing.
all right. So, Thomas and I have been the habitual low rankers this season for the bad. Both of us have given something half a star. Oddly enough, that's the same thing. That was the Gunfighters. In addition to that, I have given out a 1.5. Actually, I am the lowbie. I am the low ranker here. Where do I place this? I personally think when the episode's done, it's worth a 1.5. But I think the fact that it was dealt with because of the fact that they had to deal with a contest entry by a 9-year-old does actually give it some slack. So I am actually going to agree with the majority of the panel and give it a 2.0, being generous because of its origin. Which, everything said and done, will make the average a 2.1.
Which still makes it the second worst of what we've covered so far.
But hey, we were looking for basement dwellers to even out our list.
True, yeah.
2.1 makes it tied with another New Who episode, Sleep No More.
There we go.
Hmm?
There you be.
It is better than
Hmm.
Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone, Power of Three, Kill the Moon, The Snowmen, The Name of the Doctor, and of course our habitual basement dweller Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, establishing that Love and Monsters is not the worst episode of New Who.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is just down there.
It's way down there, but it's not the basement dweller of the franchise. Nah.
It has been scientifically proven now.
It is worse than The Wedding of River Song. Oh my God, yeah. A Christmas Carol. Let's Kill Hitler. Listen. Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the pile of shit.
Yeah.
Oh god,
It's the
worse
middle
than-
grade of
it's-
garbage. Love
It's
and
freaking
Monsters is
worse
the
than
middle grade of
Daleks in
garbage. You're welcome,
Manhattan.
everyone.
What was that? What was that?
I
Yep.
just noticed that it's not as good as Daleks in Manhattan Evolution of the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yep, that's
it's
better.
it's in the middle of the pile of shit. So there we go. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a data sort, which I haven't done in a while, since we've got time. Yes. Also, amazingly, I was prepared today, as I actually was done on time. But the lack of news is probably the reason why. Sort by rating. So at the 2.1, Love and Monsters comes in at number 293 out of 304 things reviewed.
All right.
And
so,
I think that's
yep.
all we have to say about Love and Monsters.
Yes. So in the YouTube and Twitch comments, we'd love to hear your opinions and what you rated this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on twitch.tv/Unearthly Podcast.
All right. So next week, we move on with the bad to the next consecutive episode in Series 2. It's our final entry in the bad. It's amazing people find this series to be such a high point in Doctor Who. It's Fear Her, written by Matthew Graham and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Billy Piper as Rose Tyler.
Well,
See you next week.
To be honest, it's bookended by much better things. But yeah, good night.
Good night, y'all.